This extraordinary person has an extraordinary story.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
All right, you guys, welcome on in to The Point with Kristyn Burtt. This is our hour-long show. This morning we had our eliminated contestants from So You Think You Can Dance, Evan DiBenedetto, and of course Chelsea Huff. So don't miss out on those after you watch this show. And we are so excited to have Maggie Kudirka in studio with us, also known as the bald ballerina, yes. But she's got gorgeous hair,
yeah,
of course.
I'm not bald anymore.
We'll have to get into that story and everything. But, you know, I want to let you guys know, Maggie and I met each other last November thanks to Doriana Sanchez. So if you guys have been watching So You Think You Can Dance, like this is like a full circle moment for us. Dory, of course, was on So You Think You Can Dance last night. I was at the show. Maggie was at the show. We love the Chris Scott piece, so yes. We gave a little shout out to Chelsea and Evan, who did a great job, and to Rihanna for that amazing song.
Yeah, it was great.
This is kind of how our story goes, isn't it, Maggie?
Yeah, it's just round and round. And
I know.
I'm in town. Okay.
I know. It really is something like that. But I want to let you guys know, Maggie and I met last November at I Dance for a Cure event. Mm-hmm. Doriana, also a cancer survivor, always does this fundraising event. She brought you in.
Yeah.
And you guys had met last year, correct?
Yeah, at the Industry Dance Awards. She introduced me before I performed.
I love that. And so it's one of those things that gotta love when, you know, everything sort of like you become fast friends for, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I think Maggie and I spent a total of like 8 minutes together last November. But I don't know. We stayed in touch and we just got along really well. Just like right away, I felt like we had great friend chemistry.
Yeah. We were just meant to be friends.
We were meant to be friends.
It was meant to happen.
I know, I love that. And so we've seen you out here a couple times in LA. And we're always happy to have you here. So I'm glad we can share your story because I think, you know, a lot of dance fans want to hear your dance story, but I think also there's a bigger message here. There were a couple of things that you and I were talking about that I was like, it seems like a political hot button, but it's actually not. It's a human issue.
Yeah,
so,
it's a big human issue.
And I think when you hear it from you, people will go, oh, yeah,
for sure.
It's something that's really important. So you're a ballerina, baby. Were you the little 3-year-old?
I'm the bunhead of the group,
of
the whole world, probably. I trained as a ballet dancer from the time I was 4. Of course, I did the jazz and the lyrical and the tap and the musical theater. I did everything, but every day I did ballet. My mom felt it was important to do everything, so when I went to auditions, I was ready to do anything.
When they asked for that double pirouette, you can do it.
Yep, double pirouette. I can do it in pointe, jazz shoes, whatever you want. Got it.
Can you do it? This has been a hot topic. So you think, can you do it in tap shoes?
I can do it in tap shoes, but I can't tap.
Okay.
So.
Just the shoe.
Just the shoe. I got the shoe part.
We're never going to stop talking about tap after this season. That's it.
No tappers will ever compete at So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh my gosh. I know. She and I, this was funny because we went out to lunch or brunch the other day and we were talking a lot about the tap issue and what that meant. And because I think for dancers, for all of us, we've all trained, like we all dabbled a little bit in tap, but to be a true tapper.
It's like a ballet dancer. You don't see ballet dancers you see ballet dancers, but they don't put themselves as a ballet dancer. They put themselves as contemporary or jazz, or they put themselves as something else. But you never see ballet. Yeah,
because you're worried that they're going to start. They're like, we've got someone for you.
Yeah, and it happened the year Melissa did it. They were like, we got a contemporary ballet piece. And then it was like,
oh no. They did that also in season 11 when Jordan and Jackie,
Yeah, Jordan, one of my good friends.
Yes, that was a really hard piece that they cranked out.
And she was like, I'm a ballet dancer, but I'm also contemporary, so I can't do it.
And then they're like, and we're going to do it on point. And here you
go.
And
32 footies. Go for it.
Joy, that was a hard one. I need to throw that out on Twitter again. Like, we need to watch that. I can really appreciate. With Jackie Warner, by the way, Jackie LaWarn actually just had her very first baby. She had a baby girl last week. So congratulations to her. But your ballet, who were you training with in your younger years?
I trained with hardcore Russians.
Yes.
I was trained mixed up until about the age of 12. And then I went to a new school and it was all Russian-based teachers. And
was there a specific technique you studied under?
Vaganova.
You did.
The number one.
Yes.
Number one's Vaganova. So her name was Miss Olga, and I saw her this past week because we were doing a project together. But she basically retrained me. I started back facing the bars, slow, 5 hours a day. I was training with her for competitions, for just training, and she basically formed me as a dancer, and I credit her 100% for my training. Throughout the years, of course, I've changed teachers because she moved out to LA. I decided I don't want to dance 5 hours a day. I was doing the teenage rebellion, so I stopped for a little bit, and then I went back to it, but she had moved by the time I got back into it.
How long did you take off? I'm always interested.
Like 3 months.
Okay, that wasn't that long. I didn't know if you were one of those that was like, I took 2 years off and I came back and I just picked it right up.
Well, I didn't train as hard when I came back. I started doing like the jazz and the modern once a week, but I didn't do it 5 hours a day every day.
6 days a week, 7 days a week. Yeah. So you did go off to college. You didn't go immediately into I'm going professional to New York or LA.
Yeah, so my parents basically said you get a college degree and then you follow your path, because they're like, with any degree you can get any job. As long as you have that piece of paper saying you went through college, you're set.
What school did you wind up going to?
I went to Towson University in Maryland.
Yeah. And what did you graduate with? What degree?
Dance performance BFA.
All right.
So I stayed in the dance field.
I have a dance degree as well, BFA from NYU.
And I had to do all the boring gen eds, history, English, math, science. I had to do them all, plus dance. So I do have that regular degree too, which was nice. It's good to have.
Yep.
But so college was my path, and I'm glad I went to college because it made me grow as a dancer, and I didn't have to be scared as an 18-year-old living on my own and going out.
Living in New York City. I moved at 17 to New York City to go to college, but the university doesn't really have a campus the way Towson does. Yeah. So you're out. My mom said that at the night that she and my dad drove away from New York City, she's like, "What am I doing leaving my 17-year-old in the middle of New York City?"
Yeah.
She still thinks about that to this day. And she goes, "It was the greatest thing for you, and you were safe, and it was good." But at the same time, she's like, "What did I do?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I took the subway, I took it the wrong way, and I didn't realize until about 30 minutes in that I was going the wrong way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
New York wasn't as safe as it is now. So
I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, you do. But you
rush, you don't read the signs. You're like, oh, train's here.
You figure it all out.
Yeah.
It's totally, but that's a good thing. You learn by doing.
Yeah.
When you graduate, and this is always an interesting thing for a dancer who decides to go to college, you graduate. And, people that have a business degree, they go off and try and find a great desk job or something to advance their career. As a dancer, you have to audition and audition and audition and hope that you get a long-term contract on something, not just something that's a one-day job.
Yeah.
How did that work for you? Were you staying in the sort of Maryland area, or did you go to New York City?
Yeah, so for that whole senior year, because you basically have to audition January through April is audition season for a dance company. That's the time contracts are handed out, so that's when they're looking for new bodies. I was up every weekend to New York auditioning and hoping to get a job, hoping to get that call back, and I never did. So
Nothing.
I didn't get a single call back. I got cut after every audition.
This is the reality, though, of a dance career.
Yeah, I mean, I still have friends who are in their 20s still getting cut from auditions because they haven't found that job yet.
Yep.
And it's like they have to pull here and there jobs, and it's scary.
You pull it together, teaching. Sometimes you have to wait tables.
Judging, working a store. You have to pull it all
together. Work at Capizio. A lot of dancers work at Capizio at one point or another.
Or Steps or Broadway.
That's
they're
right.
all doing their work study. And
get your free dance classes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was basically up every weekend, unless I had a show down at school, auditioning. 2 or 3 auditions a weekend.
So how did you wind up at Joffrey?
So I had gone to their summer intensive the year before, and Davis Robertson, the director at the time of the concert group, which unfortunately is no more, they restructured Joffrey Ballet School's performance company, said if I don't get a job, he first offered me a spot. He was like, we want you to join the company. And I was like, I have 16 credits left of college. I'm going to stay in college and get my degree. I wasn't going to give up 16 credits. If I had 2 more years, maybe. So I said, if I don't have a job, I would love to come join the next season. He was like, you always have a spot. Don't worry about it.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
great. It's a good position to be in.
So I didn't get a job. I emailed him the next day. I think my last audition was for Hubbard Street Dance Company. I was going crazy with auditions.
Did you have a goal in mind? Was it a ballet company? Could it be a contemporary company? Could it have been
It could have been anything. If I got a contract, I was happy.
Yep. Dance, you got it.
Yeah, so I emailed him. I was like, I didn't get a job. but I need a full scholarship because Joffrey's tuition is basically college tuition. So I was like, I can't afford to live in the city and pay your tuition. He was like, let me see what I can do. And he luckily got me a full scholarship, which is great. So generous of them. And that's how I ended up at Joffrey.
And you were part of their touring company?
Yeah, so the New York school has had a company, a student-based company that was acted like a real company. We toured, we did shows in New York, we did all kinds of stuff.
So it was kind of an apprenticeship? Is that a good way to kind of describe it?
I mean, this New York school doesn't have a company to join into, so it's like once you did the concert group, they expected you to get a contract, and they helped people find jobs, and they knew people, like some of the people out of my season there got into Ballet West or like got contracts, but it was just like 2 people out of 30 maybe got a job.
It's so hard. It's so competitive. That's the truth. And the Joffrey company is based out of Chicago now.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's just so everyone knows. They were in New York at one time, and then they moved to Chicago. More affordable.
But they're not even associated with each other anymore.
That's so
Chicago
funny.
Doesn't want to be anything to do with New York.
Isn't
it's
that
so funny.
Yeah, I know. That's politics of the dance world and everything else.
Yeah.
So how long were you with them before you decided to go see a doctor? Because you were discovering a lump, weren't you, at this point?
So I joined 2013 that season, and I discovered the lump in February of 2014. So I was only with the company for a year. I was planning on a second year, but that obviously didn't happen because I found the lump and got diagnosed and everything.
Now, were you noticing this lump when you were dancing, or is it something, and this is really important, ladies, too, and I know it sounds like really awkward, and men too, thank you. Correct me anytime, please, honestly, Maggie, because this is really important, because men can get breast cancer, and I think we forget, because we focus so much on research when it comes to breast cancer towards women. We wear the pink ribbons, you think pink, you think it's all about the women. But did you discover this like in the shower? Because I think, oftentimes, you get dressed in the morning and you're out the door and you don't think about it. But sometimes in the shower, you're sitting there touching your body, trying to get yourself clean. Is that when you're noticing it?
Yeah, I was showering and I felt like a pea-sized lump, like near my armpit. So I thought it was like muscle knot, like some fatty tissue. I didn't know what it was, so I just ignored it.
Well, okay. And you are not the only person to sit in this seat. Danielle Jones, who is from So You Think You Can Dance, did that and also ignored it because she was like, it's fine.
I was 23. I of course, looked on Google. It's like, Google will tell me.
Well, we do. We like to play WebMD. And let's also do a little bit of myth busting. Is there any history of cancer in your family?
Nope.
Thank you. And I want to tell you, if I'm correct, a majority of women who do get breast cancer don't have that family history.
Yeah, especially under the age of 40. Almost everyone I've met, it's not related to genes, it's not family history, it's environmental usually, or just something changes in your body.
All right. So this is March. You ignored it. How long did you ignore it for?
So until end of May, beginning of June.
Okay, so a few months.
Till the season ended.
I know you're laughing, but we also, this is human.
It is human.
This is human.
At 23.
At 23.
You're invincible.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good. Like, don't worry about me. We don't like to go to the doctor. I don't like to go to the doctor, but these moments in our life, they're important.
So important.
Yeah. Was it hurting you at all?
No, actually, like a month after I found the lump, I felt a pop in my sternum. I was doing a lift and I felt a pop in my sternum and I thought it was a pulled muscle.
Yep.
So I ignored it.
But you're also a dancer. Dancers love to, we dance through pain. We dance on bone chips and everything else.
So, of course, I went to the physical therapist for the company and she was like, oh, it's probably a pulled pec. Do these exercises. Come see me once in a while. We'll work it out. And the pain kept getting worse. The lump kept getting bigger. And like by the time I was diagnosed, it was this, like you could physically see it in my chest and it was pretty big.
Like tennis ball? Smaller than that?
Probably bigger than a tennis ball.
Oh.
Like I was large breasted. I was a D and you could physically see it in my breast.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was big.
That's incredible. So you finally realize, like, I got to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
This is not right.
Season's done. I got time to go to the doctor.
Right. You're like, I don't have to worry about missing a role or a class.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor. Was there any concern at that moment?
Well, first it took a long time to find a doctor to see me so quickly because they were like, oh, she's 23, got a lump. No big deal. We got a thing in August. This was June.
So they weren't taking your medical needs seriously.
They were like, oh, it can't be cancerous. She's 23.
Yeah.
She's young. Finally, I got an appointment to see a nurse midwife. She had an opening, which was great. And me and my mom call them gatekeepers. Her gatekeeper saw an importance to it and like an urgency, so she fit me in right away. So she sent me for a mammogram and sonogram, and then they sent me for biopsy because they've also just told me, oh, it's probably just fatty tissues. We just got it tested to make sure.
Yeah, and fatty tissue, dense breast happens with a lot. I'm someone who has dense breasts, and so
most people are.
Yeah, and but it is, and women just think like, I got dense breasts, it's fine, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal because oftentimes it can mask a lump or anything.
Lump, yeah.
Yeah. So, how long did this process of like going to the nurse to the mammogram, sonogram, which I'm assuming was done in the same day, mammogram, sonogram?
Yeah. I went for the mammogram and then they had me get a sonogram. Biopsy maybe a few days later.
Okay. And then you wait for the results.
Yeah. And the doctor I had at that point was not the greatest. It should have been a red flag when he could fit me in right away. That should have been like...
Not the doctor you wanted. Okay.
So it took him about 2 weeks to get back to me with the results, and we kept calling because at that time I was like, oh, I can go audition for the Rockettes. The Christmas Spectacular auditions are this week.
Like, I'm ready for the next 6 months of work.
And he was like, yeah, sure, go to the auditions, like, come see me afterwards. And then I got cut from Rockettes because they weren't hiring tall blondes that year, so I got cut. And I kept calling and calling, like, can you give me my results? Are they in? And they said, no, just come to the next appointment. So that made me think, oh, everything's fine. They just...
Right. But they just want to do a final checkup, and then away you go.
Yeah, and that wasn't the case. He just came in and blurted out, you have breast cancer.
Was your mother with you?
Yeah, my mom was with me the whole time. I started bawling. Joffrey was supposed to go to China that fall. I was supposed to be on that tour. And I was like, I can't go to China anymore.
Not really thinking the magnitude of what is right there in front of you.
I was just like, I can't dance anymore.
Oh, my gosh. So... in that I mean, what is that moment like? It's just because the magnitude of that, of like, and I think you think about like, I have all these opportunities, but you're not necessarily thinking about, wait, this is my health.
Yeah.
Because you just start reversing course.
It's like, oh no, what do I have to take care of? And it honestly felt like a dream probably for first couple of months because I never thought I would have breast cancer, let alone any cancer at 23. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And, like, how am I going to keep dancing? How am I going to be in New York dancing with Joffrey? Like, my whole thought process was, how am I going to do this in New York? I didn't want to move back from New York. And that doctor said, oh, yeah, you can do chemo in New York. You can still stay dancing full time. I was like, great. And then that wasn't the case.
Yeah. So how long before you switched doctors? Did you?
Like 2 days.
2 days. Okay. So you got the diagnosis and you hopped on over to somebody else.
Yeah, I got the diagnosis. I got on a train, went back to New York, and then talking with my mom, she's like, we need another opinion. We need to go to another doctor. And luckily, what was our first choice doctors from the get-go, like my mom, because my mom was calling, she was like, look, my daughter is 23, has breast cancer. Like, she wants to see you. And they fit me in. My surgeon saw me late at night. I was like the closing appointment. He waited. He stayed after hours to see me. The oncologist fit me in like right away. I got all my scans right away. They were very fast moving.
Okay, good. And let's talk, because there are so many different types of breast cancer and ones that have higher levels of estrogen. And it's, tell us what type of breast cancer you have.
So I have what I call triple positive. So it's all hormone driven.
Okay.
So ER positive, PR positive, HER2 positive, everything's positive.
Okay.
So it's all very hormone driven. Everything, I have to watch my hormone intake, basically.
Really important.
Yeah.
And I'm going to imagine that also involves food as well.
Yeah, so I went vegan. I don't eat meat, don't eat cheese. I don't eat anything with hormones, basically, because I'm in menopause. Everything's shut down. So I have to really watch it. So I'm a 40-year-old.
You're a good-looking 40-year-old. So right away, the course of treatment, what is that? Did you do chemo first? Did you have surgery? What were they doing? Were they trying to shrink the tumor a little bit before the surgery?
Yeah, so my surgeon wanted me to get chemo because my tumor was so big it was too dangerous just to do surgery right away. So he said do chemo, and I had 6 rounds of chemo every 3 weeks. So I started July 1st. I ended in like mid-October. And then I had my surgery in December. I had a double mastectomy.
Okay, and you made that decision to have the double mastectomy.
Yes, and it was a fight.
It was a fight.
Yeah.
The doctors wanted to give you a lumpectomy?
No, since I had no lump, my doctor didn't. My surgeon was very open with giving me the double mastectomy, but he wanted to have me get reconstruction.
Ah.
And I did not want reconstruction.
Okay. You know what? And that's a very personal choice.
It is.
What was your decision in not doing reconstruction?
Well, my first thought was they've given me enough trouble. I don't want them again. And before I even went to college, I was a size G. So I had a breast reduction before I went to college. So I already was over breasts and having them, and I just wanted to get rid of them.
And you know what? As a dancer,
It's
it
easy.
makes a lot of sense.
Packing's easy, finding clothes is easy, everything's easy.
Everything fits really great.
Yeah.
As someone who's been small-breasted her whole life, I'm
It's
like,
great.
it's great. Yeah,
No more back pain, no more shoulder pain, no more anything.
That's real too.
Yeah.
The back pain and the shoulder pain.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know who developed bras, but they are the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
uncomfortable.
They are. They are. So what happened in your first round of chemo? Because I know every single treatment of chemo is different and people react differently. And
Yeah, so my first round of chemo, that's when I actually found out I was stage 4, which means it spread to another body part.
what body parts?
It spread to my sternum, spine, and hip. So all the parts you need to dance.
Were you feeling it at that point too?
The sternum pain that I had was the cancer, eating away my bones.
Oh my God.
So that, my doctor talked to me through all of that. You have to be on maintenance treatment for the rest of your life. We have to have scans every 6 months, whatever. That's when we talked about it. The chemo, I honestly don't really remember that much because I try to block it out. But I know it took a very long day because they have to get all your medical histories. They have to slowly infuse the drugs because they don't know how you're going to react to various things. You have 4 pre-chemo drugs like Benadryl and steroids so you don't have nausea and all this other stuff.
Right.
So my appointment was, I think, 7:30, and we didn't leave until 6.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Did you lose your hair on those chemo treatments?
Yeah, it started falling out pretty immediately. A nurse told me to go get a wig before my hair fell out so we'd get similar color, similar cut, which was great suggestion. So we did, and I went to a wig shop that was owned by breast cancer survivors. So they knew what I was going through and what to do. And she was like, your hair follicles are really starting to die, and do you want me to shave your head for you? I was like, yes, just do it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Very brave.
I don't want to wake up with clump, because my cousin had leukemia, and she was like, you'll wake up pulling hair off of your face.
That's
You'll
scary.
see a clump of hair on your pillow. I was like, I don't want that. So I was like, just shave it. So I had a buzz cut for maybe 2 weeks, and then I shaved it with my personal razor to get rid of the little hairs.
Well, that's amazing because as women, we identify with our hair.
Yeah.
It is so much a part of who
Yeah.
we are. Did you have trauma around that? Because I think some women do.
I didn't. I always had fun experimenting with hair lengths. I would have really long hair, then I would just decide, bless you.
Thank you.
I would decide just to cut my hair really short. I liked experimenting, so I was like, cool, great, new hairstyle, but
That's a great attitude.
Yeah.
See, and this is the thing. I mean, we're laughing about your diagnosis, and there's nothing funny about
No.
it. But I think you having that spirit though does help you.
yeah.
I
helps
think
me.
that's so important.
Yeah, I always try to find the silver lining in
Because
things.
you're like, I waited 3 months and then I went to a doctor. but I actually think so many of us would do that.
Yeah.
We do it all the time. I've had a nagging pain in my
yeah,
back.
I don't have time right now. I'll do it when I have some time.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But
It's so important.
health is so important. It really is a gift. When was the bald ballerina born? Was she born in this moment?
She was actually born maybe a week after I was diagnosed.
She was born early on then.
She was born very early on. I was letting my college teachers know because I wanted to come back and take classes and just stay dancing throughout treatment. So I had this one teacher who taught how to publicize yourself using social media, like how to get your name out there. And he suggested I start a blog and start like just to write down my thoughts and get my cancer journey out there, just even if no one read it. He was like, you have something, you can use it. So I did. At first, I wasn't going to be very open with it. I was just going to share it with friends and family to stay updated. And then it just started spreading. I was like, everyone my age or younger needs to know you can get breast cancer. It's not just an old lady disease. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Why not? And me and my mom were just sitting at the table because we were like, I don't want to call myself like dancing with breast cancer or dancing with through cancer. Like it just wasn't my personality. She was like, why don't you just call yourself like the bald ballerina? And I was like, yeah, great. And what's funny is all the females in my family and like my close friends were like, that's a great name. Like, how did you come up with it? And then all the guys were like, really? Like, bald ballerina? Like, it's kind of weird. And I was like,
isn't that funny though? I think for guys too, like going bald
bald
sometimes.
is like, oh man.
But you kind of embraced it.
Yeah.
In a very strong way, because you're like, I am going to lose my hair. I'm going to experiment with the style and kind of embrace all of that, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And it was like easy to remember. When I told people about it, they were like, bald ballerina, I'll remember it.
Of course.
And it like all the domains, all the social media names were available. So I was like, done.
I love it. That's incredible. I mean, you've really had, it's crazy because of your diagnosis, you've had some incredible experiences and opportunities.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's one of those like, what a weird, like life takes so many twists and turns.
Yeah.
Because of your work and, spreading your message and your story, tell us about some of the cool opportunities you've had.
One of the coolest was one of my friends is a breast cancer lingerie designer. She designs bras for breast cancer survivors after surgery. She put on a New York Fashion Week show 2 years in a row, and I was lucky enough to walk on Pointe in both of those shows. And this
Amazing.
Past year, I got to dance on the runway, so that was cool. That was like one of my highlights.
When else are we going to be at New York Fashion Week?
Of course. For 2 years, I was like, cool.
You're like, I'm a veteran of New York Fashion Week, actually.
I'm trying to think. I travel a lot. I've gotten to be able to travel and go places I never thought like LA. I haven't been able to come to LA so much because with all the opportunities, I've been lucky enough. Trying to think of what else. I've been in so many magazines and meet so many people. I met Kenny Ortega last year at Industry Dance Awards. That was amazing.
Mr. High School Musical.
Dirty
Mr.
Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. Also Doriana, I know.
Yes. And he gave me his Lifetime Achievement Award. He was getting it last year, and he gave it to me, which was an honor. And it's on my nightstand. I look at it every night.
I love that.
Just being like meeting people like you is really fun.
We got to be friends. I know. It's so great. You have a couple other big campaigns. Some we can't really talk about them, but I would say really big. Both of them, like they're both, and they'll both be coming out within the next year or so.
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys, I will point you guys in the right direction when they're available. But both of the names you're going to recognize right off the bat, and I think it's exciting to be able to participate in those because they're high profile campaigns. It's a great way to get your story out. It's a great way to create awareness.
Yes, social media and all that is how we get more education and more awareness out there, and that's what we do.
How has dance kind of helped you through all of this process?
It's been my escape. Like when I was first diagnosed, the next day I was in the studio taking class and it just felt normal. It's my normal, my old life basically. Whenever I get a chance to rehearse or get into a studio is always a pleasure, and I try to hang on to it as long as possible before I have to go back into the real world. So I always look forward to rehearsal times and going back in the studio.
And you're out there. I mean, you're performing. I've seen you perform out here in LA. You're out there judging. You're out there creating solos and all these kids.
Yeah, I do a lot. I'm getting ready. My friend Adrian's putting on a show in September, and when I get back there in like 2 weeks back to Maryland, we start rehearsals for that. But I judge for Starbound. I perform for Starbound. I work with so many cancer dance-oriented cancer organizations like I Dance for a Cure and Dancers Against Cancer and Dancers Care Foundation. So I'm always like my hand's always in something. And any chance I get to perform, I always say yes because I never know I'll be able to do it the next time. So I always try to hop on those opportunities.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that is probably misleading to a lot of people, you're so healthy. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, every time I see you, you look great. You're so pretty, and you look strong. But you do have kind of this thing looming in the background all the time, don't you?
Yeah, all my travel is organized around my treatment. So I go back to Maryland on Friday. I have a treatment that Wednesday. So all my travel is arranged around treatment and everything. So
And your treatment, if I'm correct, is it every 4 weeks?
Every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. I didn't even know that.
And I have shots every 4 weeks.
Okay. So, because I've seen some of the social media postings about your treatments, and you have a port, correct?
Yeah.
Do you mind showing
covered.
that? Right there. There's the port if you guys can see it. Because I think, and it's one of those things. So every 3 weeks you have treatment. This is what is maintaining your health, correct?
Yeah, that's what's keeping the cancer at bay and stable and not eating any more parts of me.
My goodness. It's like a zombie. Come on.
Yeah. It mutates, it gets stronger, it gets weaker.
But you had some really good news recently at your most recent checkup, correct?
Yeah, I had a scan in May and it came back no active disease. That's what we say for our scans, because we can't say we're in remission. We have to say no active disease.
Okay, so explain to the average person what remission means and what like no active disease means.
Yeah, so remission is more like the cancer is gone. Like there's no detection of it, there's no signs of it, and with no active disease and breast cancer especially, you can't detect those little cells. They could be so tiny the scans can't pick them up. They can't. So when there's no light ups on your scans, that means no active disease for breast cancer, and there's no remission for breast cancer unless you're a lower stage, which there's a 30% chance you'll have a reoccurrence and it be stage 4. So it's like 2 words that are like right there. You don't want to like say the wrong word, but
right. It's confusing, I think, to people
because
you just
so confusing.
Yeah, it's super confusing.
And sometimes it's easier just to say I'm in remission and that's it. But I always try to educate people, even when I'm teaching my students and they say, "Well, you're all good, you're healthy, you're here every week." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like I always try to educate them a little bit, even if they're 8 and they don't really understand. I know at some point it'll click. And they will understand.
Now, are you on any sort of trial treatments, or is everything kind of out there and available to the public at this point?
I'm not. I'm on every drug that is supposed to be for my type of cancer. There are other drugs that if these drugs stop working, I can go on to. But yeah, I'm not on a trial.
Okay.
Because I have no active disease, so they can't monitor.
Right.
Like if the cancer is growing, not growing.
Because you're like, I'm stable. So.
Or there was one trial I could have joined, but I would have had to come off of all my drugs, and I didn't want to risk that.
I wouldn't want to rock the boat, right?
Don't do anything if it's working.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about health insurance and things like that just for a moment. And I really want people to understand that I'm speaking. I'm an independent voter. I'm not registered at any political party. So you guys can know that we are coming from kind of just a place of like caring about human beings. So I don't want anyone to be offended on either side of the fence on all of this. But I just want to throw out some numbers at people so that they do understand, and that it gives you another perspective of the health insurance debate.
Yes.
And I think it's super important.
Which is so important.
It's so important. All right. So are you self-insured, or you do not have an employee-based insurance plan?
No, I have my own insurance. I'm an independent contractor, so I'm sole payer, sole owner of my insurance.
I am too. So, okay, we'll just throw that out there, just how that matters. One of the big debates in healthcare is pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
So if this federally goes away, what does that mean for you?
I won't get health insurance.
None.
At all.
At all. She will have no health insurance because her cancer is considered a
pre-existing condition.
Correct. And, their costs of cancer are very expensive, but I want people to understand that you can have something a lot less, like a migraine, reoccurring migraines that could be considered a pre-existing condition. Acne, something that I had horrible acne in my 20s. And so just so people understand. So what is the cost if you had no health insurance? What would your every 3-week treatment cost?
Between, because it depends on if I'm up for shots that week or not.
Okay.
Between $12,000 and $16,000
per month.
Per treatment.
Per treatment, because it rolls. Yeah. So per treatment.
Yay!
Yeah.
Plus, I'm on pills that I take for 3 weeks, and then I'm off for 2 weeks. That's $10,000 a dose. So that's 21 pills for $10,000.
All right, we're just gonna throw these
I
numbers
have
at you.
expensive taste.
You're like, I like to do things really expensive.
Yeah.
And in the last 4 years, how much has your cancer treatment approximately cost?
Probably close to $500,000.
So the other big issue in health insurance has been sort of caps.
The caps.
Correct. So oftentimes, I think in the past, the cap was like at $1 million with some of the health insurance companies. So potentially, let's say in 4 years, and there was a cap. There is no cap right now. There is no cap right now. We're establish that. But in 4 years, you could hit that cap.
And I would have to pay for everything out of pocket.
Again. So I just want you guys to look at this beautiful face and this beautiful person who I adore, and understand and realize what the health insurance debate really is about and what it means. Because if you don't have someone in your family and don't understand, or if you're someone who is so fortunate to have an employer-based plan, this is what life can be, and it's scary.
It's scary.
It's
so scary.
Very, very scary. And I know that you're not the only one. You encounter many other people in the same situation.
So, like, every breast cancer patient basically is metastatic, especially stage 4, is worried about it. We walked on Capitol Hill for it. We can't do this. You can't change it.
Right. And and I just don't think in the United States it's okay for us to say,
you hit $1 million.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you pay for it, or good luck.
Yeah, have fun.
I don't know. I mean,
it's an additional stress that people don't think of.
They don't think about it. And, medical bills are very, very expensive, even if you just go for a stitch at an emergency room. So think about someone you do have a major medical expense, and also car accidents, things that happen in moments like that. So I just wanted to, just wanted to give people some food for thought. I think that is super important.
Just put it in your brain.
I know, absolutely. Like, just think about that. I also love, and I'm going to show it to everyone on camera because I have it, my pop socket.
I have one too.
I know you do. I know the other day we were out at brunch, and by the way, we saw Jennifer Garner. I told her, wait, did I not tell you? I go, I see Jennifer Garner here all the time. And literally 5 minutes later, I was like, I delivered. You're welcome. But you have a lot of really great bald ballerina merchandise.
Yes, I do.
This was
Pop sockets most popular.
Are they the most popular? I get questions about this all the time, and I send people to your website. I'm like, go and check it out. So just so you guys know that there's kind of like some fun branding and everything that you've done.
There's t-shirts. I have to restock everything.
I know.
There used to be baseball hats. There's all kinds of stuff.
She had cute pajama pants when I saw them.
Yeah, those are almost gone.
They're almost gone. But here's, it's so funny. I love how you've branded yourself and marketed yourself, and you're out there doing, public speeches, and you're dancing and everything else. Sometimes I'm like, I want you to go and talk to some of the So You Think You Can Dance kids, or, the dance people, and let them know how important getting the message out is, and how important your social media accounts are.
Yeah, and just taking care of yourself. Because I think, especially those So You Think You Can Dance kids, they're babies in my mind. Mm-hmm. They don't know. You could just use a simple hashtag, and it'll get your branding across so well.
That was it was so funny. I had, Chelsea Huff here this morning, and at the end, she's like, by the way, my hashtag is Huff is tough. And I was like, why didn't you use that the whole time? That was so great. I was like, I would have started that really everyone, my hashtag is this, and I love
obviously
this.
Mine's bald ballerina, and I tag metastatic breast cancer, terminal breast cancer. I have my list of hashtags, and I get followers every day because of it.
Yeah, and that's important because you're trying to get your message out and everything else. Because dance is such a huge part of your life, what are your goals in dance now? Because I'm sure that obviously they've morphed and changed from the days when you're at Joffrey.
I'm slowly working on getting a private coaching business up. I have a few students that I've taken to YGP, or I work with privately, even if it's just getting more flexible. I work with them weekly, and I'm trying to get that business going so I don't have to teach at a regular school. I love teaching at a regular school, but I like having the flexibility of private coaching because
you do travel a lot.
I travel a lot. If I'm not feeling well one day, I don't have to worry about finding a sub. I can just reschedule them. So that's my goal. I also put on a yearly concert that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This year it's 5 years.
Congratulations.
I have some exciting dancers coming.
Anyone you can drop now?
Jim Nauerkowski.
Oh, little So You Think season 12.
Yeah, and my best friend Adrian Cantorno always comes. So
I love that. You've had JT Church perform.
I've had JT perform. I've had Jordan's come 3 years now. 2 years now.
That's incredible. Have you had Kaylee Ware perform?
Kaylee's performed.
Yep.
She was supposed to do it this past year, but she was out here filming some stuff.
Yep.
So.
She did World of Dance. And JT, of course, is now he's a kid pro on Juniors. It's public. I'm not ruining my...
I've posted a lot about it.
I'm not allowed. Yeah, we totally know he's out there doing it. But I do have an NDA with ABC, and they keep on updating us like, you're released from this part of it. And I'm like, what can I say? I can say that
JT's on it.
JT's on it. We're good. I'm not going to get in trouble.
Yeah, so JT's been on it. Kaylee's been on it. Jim's going to be on it. So it's just exciting who I have coming. I'm trying to get some principal ballet dancers to come, but I'm still talking to them.
I know it's hard, especially when is your concert normally?
January. So this year it's January 13th.
So it's right after Nutcracker season.
Yeah, but the kids are ready. They're prepared. They're warmed up.
Yes, their technique's good. They've been performing for weeks.
Competition seasons are ready right there, so they're all good.
And the prima ballerinas are all like, my body hurts.
Yeah, but they still come. I still get them. So
good. That's really incredible. And putting on a show, producing a show is no joke.
Yeah, I do everything. I don't let anyone do anything.
This girl's very organized.
Yes.
What's the hardest part about producing? Because I think what a lot of people, I help produce the show, at least in terms of like booking guests and things like that. And you see the snafus that happen with booking guests and things like that. It's a lot of sweat behind the scenes.
Yeah. My biggest thing is getting music program information especially from the schools, because they're doing so much. One of my friends, she does the Nutcracker casting. She does all the choreography. Then she has all the competition. Like, she sends 90 kids to 90 pieces to competition. So she's doing all that music cut, all preparing. So it's like, I'm always like, can you send me this? Like, I'm texting her and she's like, yes, I'll get it right there. Like, it's just like getting all that information for the show, because the theater likes having it early so they can program it in and do the lighting. So it's like, I need this stuff. Like, come on.
I know. And a lot of people don't realize, like, when you're sending a text or you're sending an email with an exclamation point, like, we need this information now. We can't wait 4 days. It is very important when you're producing a show. Yeah.
So it's just like getting all that stuff is like the most stressful, because I always have my stuff, like, as soon as I get that email, I'm like, here you go, it's done. Like, so it's like, I just need it now. Give it to me.
I know, the stress of all of that. One thing I want to mention, and I think it's a really important part when we think of like cancer and things like that, we always think about the physical aspect. How about the mental health aspect of this entire journey for you?
It's tough because, of course, when I was first diagnosed, I thought, I can go back to New York. I can go back dancing full time. And it was a hard transition to accept that I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, it took me probably a good year to really accept it, because I was still trying to figure out what I can do outside of being a professional. Also, just the losing friends, losing connections because of a cancer diagnosis. You learn right away who your friends are. And some people surprised me by stepping up and really being there for me, and others I was like, oh, okay. So,
what can someone, if you have a family member or a friend diagnosed with cancer, like, what are the things that really stood out in your mind? Because I think sometimes it's really small things. It's not necessarily the really big things.
Yeah. It was people who just texted, like, hey, thinking of you, or hey, like, do you need anything? My cousin always had dinner for us ready when we came home from chemo. So she always, like, asked, like, oh, what do you want? Like, and her mom helped, like, my aunt would make, I'd be like, oh, I really want her mashed potatoes. And when I got home, they were there. Like,
the best comfort food.
It was stuff like that when they asked, like, what do you really need? Like, do you want me to bring you dinner? That was really meaningful. I had some friends who were like, hey, let's just go to the movies. Like, it's just, like, not always talking of cancer. I always, like, appreciate and remember those times when we didn't talk about cancer. We talked like we were old friends, which a lot of them we were. But it's those moments that I really remember, especially through chemo.
And I think that's important, because we can use that anywhere, anytime. It doesn't have to be cancer. It can be, you know,
anything.
Someone has a death in the family. Someone's going through a rough time. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, and I think we forget that, because I also find, like, I had a friend lose their mother, and I was like, you know what? It's been a couple of months. I need to check in on them, because we all, you go to the funeral, you send flowers, you send a card, and then we all move on. But life does go on, and they may be stuck.
Yeah.
a couple months back because they're missing that person or anything. So I always those little itty bitty
moments,
things actually matter a lot. Let's talk a little bit just quickly before we wrap up with Miss Doriana Sanchez.
Hello, Dory.
We love Dory. I think she's become like a really big presence in your life.
Yeah. She's awesome. So I met her at IDA. I was performing. She introduced me, and we connected because she's also a cancer survivor.
Yep.
We really connected. I honestly, when I was told Doriana was gonna introduce me, I was like, that name sounds so familiar. It didn't click, and then my mom's like, she choreographs on So You Think You Can Dance. She does the disco routine.
She's the disco. By the way, she's done like all of Cher's shows.
Tours, yeah.
And it was Cher who actually helped her out with her. And it's a
treatments,
fascinating story. If you guys have not seen the To the Point, it's out there in the archives. Let me know if you need the link because you're like, holy cow, Cher like was there helping you through it all.
So we started talking, and I met her, and it was just we found so many connections. She has Pomeranians, I have Pomeranians. Like it was just like
furry babies.
And I have some other friends who are like that. They have Pomeranians, I have Pomeranians. We're close friends. Like it's just something. And then we just started talking, and like anytime I'm out here, I'm like, Dory, I'm here. Like let's get dinner, let's get brunch, let's do anything.
She's the most generous person in the world.
I love her.
I know, I do too. I know, and then the three of us have been hanging out. So when you've been out here, which has been even more fun.
Nice.
It's really nice. It really is. I appreciate the friendship that we've all sort of struck up and everything else.
Nice.
It is really nice. I know. You just never know like where you meet friends and how you meet friends and
who
where
sticks
you make
and who
sticks, who doesn't, and things like that. But I'm just glad we are friends because it's been we've been all week. We've been like, it's meant to happen. This is totally like the whole week. It's just been one of those like crazy kind of like fun weeks.
I get to see you tomorrow, so it's like
I know exactly. So we'll be at the Industry Dance Awards. There you go. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. I think sharing your story. I think for a lot of people, it's not an easy topic. I love that you have it with a sense of humor. But I think people need to see a face and understand that, and it's really important. I want to make sure that you get all of your social media accounts out, your website, where people can buy cool things like this pop socket, which helps benefit your medical bills. Correct? It helps defray some of the costs. So.
Yeah, so all my social media is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I even have Snapchat, but I don't use it, so don't even
either.
follow.
I gave up on mine.
I have it, but I don't use it. It's all Bald Ballerina. All of it. Easy to remember. The website is baldballerina.org.
Fantastic. So you guys go over, visit Maggie, say hi, follow her, all that good stuff, and just tell them all KB sent you.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Well, thank you. This is so appreciated. This has been a crazy fun week, and we've got one more night together to hang out. I know. So good. You guys, thank you so much for joining us here at To The Point. It's been an amazing day of dance interviews. We will continue with the eliminated contestants next week with So You Think You Can Dance. And then on the 1 hour version of To The Point, it will be Elena Samadanova, which is Gleb Savchenko's wife, choreographer on So You Think You Can Dance this season. A lot of great things coming your way. So we'll see you all here next week. Thanks to Popcorn Talk for hosting and for dancenetwork.tv. Check out all your latest dance news.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, and not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.